welcome back to our Origin Summer Preview 2015. I'm Eric Summerer, here with Victor from AEG, and we're here to tell you that summer is coming. Right?
Summer is coming, and it's bringing the Game of Crowns.
The Game of Crowns. What's the game about?
Well, the game is a group game for 4 to 9 players. It's a game of diplomacy, it's a game of betrayal, it's a game of deception, it's a game of interaction, negotiation.
Okay.
If you've got a really vocal social group, that's a good game for them.
All right.
We have 9 different houses that really can't get along.
Okay.
That are all vying for the throne.
Yeah.
And you want to be that one faction that comes out ahead of everybody else.
Okay.
We've got some of the houses laid out here. But the game starts out, everybody has one hand of 10 cards. They're always the same 10 cards for each group.
Yeah.
You're going to do some negotiation to try to make the hand of cards you have work much more for your strategy that's specific to scoring. The scoring, of course, that's at the end of the game.
Okay.
So the game starts out with 2 actions. You are either going to make exchanges with other players, or you can just outright play a card.
Okay.
When you're making an exchange out of your hand, you're going to take a card, put it out there and say, I have this that I'm offering, and I am looking for something else.
All right.
Now, these other people that are out here, they're going to put out a card that they're offering. Hopefully it's what you're wanting.
Okay.
It may not be, but they're going to put out something that they're offering. And then you might decide, well, I'm going to throw out something else and kind of sweeten it, and that goes around again. But also, you have a number of these Raven tokens that come into play later.
Okay.
But you can put those out there as well to sweeten the deal as well.
Okay.
And that's one of the first areas where the negotiation discussion really comes into play, because why should I take your offer over his? Make it worth my while. Yes, you've got the 2 princess cards that I want, but he's throwing 3 ravens on his princess and knight. That's looking pretty good to me. So the more social the group you have, this really works out better.
Yeah.
Now, eventually an exchange happens, and then we move along from there. The other thing that you can do is to play a card outright. There are 2 main cards that you can play outright. One is going to be your knight card here. And I'm going to explain the attack in a moment.
Okay.
Because that's a little more in depth.
All right.
The other is your coinage card. Now, the coinage card is a little more random, because you want to collect a certain set of cards that work for your scoring strategy, as I mentioned. It's all about set collection. If you're playing a coinage card, then I put the coinage card out there and take a card at random from you. And then you're going to get the coinage card.
Okay.
So, do I get another card? Yes. Is it a bit random chance? Yes. In a knight card, you're actually going to attack the other player. And this gets into a group as well. First thing that's going to happen is I'm going to say I'm playing a knight and I'm targeting you.
Okay.
You're the defender. I'm the attacker. Now everybody becomes involved because, well, this is what the nine groups are all vying for the kingdom, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So everybody has an attacker and a defender vote card. And everybody's going to take one of those cards and put it face down and make their vote whether they're in support of the attacker or the defender.
No sitting on the fence here.
No sitting on the fence. So then once all of those have been played out, everybody reveals their position. But that's not the end of it, because there's always something to be said about switching sides for the right price, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So say I have an attacker, you've got a defender, we have several other people here. So we'll start with one player, and I can put one of my Raven tokens onto that, and now that's worth 2 attacker votes. This other person, he's going to put 2 of his Raven tokens on the defender card, and now there's 3 votes for the defender.
Okay.
Now, of course, with the other people as well. At some point in time, and if I remember, the defender picks first, the attacker, and it goes around from there. Eventually, the sides are chosen.
Yep.
Now, unfortunately, an attacker always wins a tie. But nothing's fair in the Game of Crowns, right?
Yes.
So, eventually we're going to have a victor. And this is where things get a little more dangerous, because the victor can either take one of these guest cards that are not part of the normal 10, but typically offer some additional victory points. Or they can take the card of their choice from the other player's hand. Now that's really, really key when you're working on set collection. So I can if I win the battle, I can take the card of my choice from their hand. Now, it's not all a loss though, because whoever lost, whoever the defender or whoever wasn't the victor,
Right.
they get the Raven tokens that were voted against them.
Okay.
I've even seen situations where I'm the attacker, I flip over my card, I'm actually voting for the defender. Because maybe you want to get some Raven tokens, or maybe you want to get rid of a certain card.
Yep.
There's a lot of fun for metagaming in here.
Okay.
So those are the two main actions in the turn, either making an exchange by just negotiating in general, or playing the coinage for a direct random card, or playing the knight for a much more decisive. And as I've mentioned, there's all the sorts of potential for negotiation and working with the other groups.
Right.
Now, this all comes down to an end at some point. You play 3 rounds of this game where everybody has a turn to take one of these actions. The other cards that are here effectively work to score you points based on sets. The trader here, at the end of the game, you have a victory point for each coinage card that you have in your hand of cards.
Which I just traded away to get other cards from somebody else's hand.
That obviously wasn't your strategy.
Okay.
The princess card, at the end of the game, you get a victory point for every knight that you have. And I should say, if you use the knight to attack, it's discarded. So that's removed from there. So you may not end up doing that. Feud cards, at the end of the game, you get a victory point for every feud card you have, if you have the most. I actually had some players argue with me because I scored 64 points in feud cards yesterday. They didn't think that was right.
Wow!
The Castilian, at the end of the game, you get a victory point for every Raven token you have. And that's where those Raven tokens really come into play there. Not only because they're a currency, but just by gaining that currency or choosing to spend it. So this keeps track of the rounds. At the beginning, once everybody has had a chance to play, the round token moves down. Everybody gets a chance to play, the round token moves again until finally the game ends. Then you look to see how many points there are, and that is the Game of Crowns.
Okay. So how long does it typically play for a usual game?
From my experience, if you get some people who know what they're doing with it, and you don't have Origins Werewolf players, then I'd say for a 4-player game, you could probably have it gone through in about 20 minutes.
Oh, okay.
For a 9-player game, it may stretch out closer to an hour, just because there's more people, more potential for negotiation. But the cards themselves, the mechanics of the game, it really does flow very quickly.
Okay.
So
now, as we alluded to, we're expecting this sometime this summer, correct?
We actually have it for sale here at Origins.
For sale here. How about wider distribution?
That I'm not absolutely sure about at this point in time. I know that this is really its premiere here.
Okay.
I imagine that it will be coming to stores shortly. Of course, then we're looking at other conventions as well.
Excellent.
But we're running the game throughout the entire convention, and we have it for sale.
Wonderful. Thank you, Victor.
Not a problem. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for watching.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com.